This is a broadcast by the Ahmadiyya-Islam, which is an organization which believes in the absolute finality of prophethood. No prophet will come after the Holy Prophet Muhammad, whether a new one or an old one. And if a person says that he is a Muslim, then no one has the right to judge him. God will decide in the final analysis who is what, and whether good or bad. We've been looking at various verses of the Holy Quran and trying to show, with reference to the Holy Quran, that Quran offers a middle way between capitalism and communism. Capitalism is the unrestrained pursuit of wealth, regardless of what impact it has on other people. And communism is exactly the opposite, which is that no one is allowed to own any private property, and everything is owned by the state, and the state distributes resources as they see fit. But related to that is also the idea, the wrong idea that some Muslims have, and that is that the charity that Muslims give is only to be given to members of the Ummah. And you cannot give zakat to non-Muslims, etc. And these are many misunderstandings which are based upon not the Holy Quran, but fatwas, judicial decrees by different scholars and different muftis, etc. If you look at this verse of the Holy Quran, it says, this is chapter 2, verse 273, charity is for the poor. Now here is the word Muslim mentioned. The word Muslim is not mentioned here. At that time in Medina, you had Muslims, you had Jews, you had Christians, you had idol worshippers, you had the whole spectrum of people that we have in England and Germany and America and everywhere else today. So if God wanted charity, Muslim charity, zakat and fitrana and so on, to be restricted to Muslims, how hard was it to put the word Muslim in there? Why leave it to religious scholars, interpreters of the Holy Quran, commentators of the Holy Quran to come and tell us that it actually means Muslims? But then there's another interesting point, isn't there? And this was what the point that Hazrat Masih Maud made in a different context. So before these scholars came and told us that zakat is only for the Muslims, what were Hazrat Abu Bakr Raziyallahu Ta'ala doing? And Hazrat Umar Raziyallahu Ta'ala doing? And Hazrat Usman Raziyallahu Ta'ala doing? Because these jurists weren't around. So presumably all the companions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, those people who the Holy Prophet Muhammad himself had trained, were doing the wrong thing. And Muslims only started doing the right thing when these jurists arrived. And that was a question that Hazrat Masih Maud al-Salam also asked in relation to Sunnah and Hadith and so on. So there are many such misconceptions. Let's look at the verse of the Holy Quran where categories are given for us to spend zakat on. And what is one of them? Seekers after truth. Now, if you're a Muslim, you found the truth. So who's a seeker after truth? A non-Muslim. So the Quran is itself saying, give non-Muslims money from zakat, at least for that purpose. So if it's a Christian and he wants to learn about Islam and he has no money, then you can pay his fare, you can pay his board and lodging, you can pay for his pencils and notebooks and so on. Because that is set out by the Quran itself. So is the Quran then causing confusion? Read the whole of the Holy Quran. A short chapter, Surah Ma'un at the end. Does it mention the word Muslim anywhere? It says praying ones. You can generalize that and apply it to any religion. That these people, they go to churches and they say long prayers, and this happened in Victorian times in United Kingdom. That you had the local squire and he supported the church and he went and never missed a Sunday Mass. But then at the same time, he never missed one of his agricultural tenants' daughters or sisters, if she happened to be very pretty. She would just be lifted and taken to him. But this is the interesting thing. Remember, a lot of these things that restrict Islam were invented much later. And they were it's like, I'll give you an example. The gentleman who teaches me how to improve my recitation of the Holy Quran, I asked him to find a book about the Mahdi, a hadith about the Mahdi from a book of hadith. So he photocopied me a commentary of the Holy Quran and he sent it to me. So I said, but that is not a book of hadith. The commentator of the Holy Quran says, the hadith says, and then he carries on. I want the book of hadith. I want this from Bukhari or Muslim or Tirmizi or Ibn Majah, somewhere. And he looked through all books of hadith, and that book, that hadith about Mahdi did not exist any book in any books of hadith. It was just a comment that a commentator made. Because hadith refers to whatever the Holy Prophet said. These books contain those sayings which are supposed to be relatively authentic. They meet various tests and so on and so forth. It's the same thing with the people who say Hazrat Aisha said, yes, say Khatmun Nabiyyin, but don't say La Nabi Abadi. Well, in which book of hadith is it? It's not in any book of hadith. It's just a comment that is made in a commentary. And someone said to me, I fully agree with them, that this Ramadan, rather than reading the Quran in Arabic, they are reading the translation and commentary of the Holy Quran. And in a number of places, he is astounded that the general Muslim belief is this, and the Quran says this. The general Muslim belief is, what will happen to non-Muslims? They'll all burn in hell forever. What does the Quran say? among the Jews and Christians and Sabis, which was another nation, there are people who do good deeds, and they'll be rewarded for them. So during this Ramadan, it's very, very important, and I picked out this verse which said, charity is for the poor, who are confined in the way of Allah, etc. It's very, very important that we don't just read the Arabic. I know translation itself is limited, I know commentaries are limited, but they give you much more information than just reading the Arabic that we don't understand at home. Our brothers and sisters who are from Pakistan have an advantage in that, a lot of the words we can look at, and they're very similar or have similar meaning to the words in Urdu. So it's easier for us. But even those who don't know Urdu and who don't, can't follow Quran in that way, but certainly read the translation as well and try and understand what it's trying to tell you. And you will find that everything that is narrow-minded and everything that puts Islam in a bad light was actually handed down by some jurists. Remember, they were handing these things down when Muslims ruled a lot of the world. Mr. Trump can say America is the greatest and we are the superior people and we are this and we are that and so on, because of the situation he finds himself in. But I'm sure 100 years later, people will be embarrassed by his pronouncements, because they are very dangerous. And there are, this is not the only thing. Generally, Muslims believe that we are a superior people. What did Hitler say? What did Hitler say? Did he say Germans are inferior? He said blue-eyed and blonde people are superior. And this is a very dangerous concept, that a people as a whole are superior to some other people. And I always compare two people when someone says this to me. I ask them, let me compare General Yahya Khan with Mother Teresa. A drunkard fornicator who broke Pakistan, so that Pakistani army ended up with 100,000 soldiers in Indian prisons. He is superior to Mother Teresa, who gave up her life at the age of 16 to bathe, to wash, to feed lepers in slums of Calcutta. God says, I'm a just God. Does he not say, I'm a just God? So what kind of justice is that? Yes, everyone will be rewarded for the good deeds they do, and everyone, regardless of their religion, will be, let's say, punishment. I don't believe in the reward and punishment in the normal sense. The example, I had Jehovah's Witnesses who came to our house this morning and we were discussing some ideas. They were quite surprised when Rifat invited them in. Usually people pretend that they are not home. So, but we even offered them a cup of tea, but they declined. But I said to them that when a child is in the womb, does it know what lies outside the womb? You can tell him about, snakes and lions and elephants and so on. Would that child be able to conceive what these things are? Would that child be able to see what good things there are, how vast this world is? To the child that exists. But then that child is born into a new state. Now, how that child is born depends on what the mother does. If she is a cocaine addict, the child is born a cocaine addict. Dr. Jawad will tell you that. And the child will have to be weaned off. But if the mother eats nutritional food, good food, lots of women who smoke and drink and so on give it up for when they become pregnant. This doesn't apply to this company, but this lady who was pregnant in my office, she had 5 glasses of wine one day, and I said, "You're pregnant, you're not supposed to be drinking." So she said to me, "Well, they told me I can have 1 glass a day, and I save them all up and have them all together." So the doctor sahib there will tell you that that's not what it means, So, but the point is this: they give up these things so that the child is born healthy. And hereafter is the same thing. Rather than death, I regard it as a rebirth. It's a different stage of life. Just like that baby in the womb cannot conceive of the vastness of this earth and this universe, in the same way we and our souls cannot conceive of the good things and the vastness of the life to come. And just like a cocaine mother's child is born with an affliction, the same thing happens to us when we pass on to the next stage of life. If we've led a life full of goodness, then our soul has absorbed the nutrients, and it's born in the next stage in a healthy way. If not, then just like that baby, it has to be weaned off the effect of our bad habits and bad deeds. And one of the things, good things we can do, and one of the marvelous things about Islam is that he has made it our duty to serve the whole of humanity. And I always remember Hazrat Sahab's marvelous words, and I will end with these. When Dr. Mirza Yaqub Beg Sahib went to ask him for advice about how to start his medical career, he said, "God has put a gift in your hand. When someone sits in front of you, never let the thought of what is his religion, what is his sect, what is his brotherhood enter your head. You are fortunate that you can relieve the pain of a human being. And that should be your only concern, that God has given you this gift with which you can relieve humanity's pain." And this is how a Muslim should be. And it applies to a teacher, a lawyer, and so on. When my mother died, people might have noticed that there were Hindus and Sikhs and Jews there. And one of them said, "I am here today because my mother has died." He was a Sikh. Because he said the first day he started his class, she said, "You are all my children. There is no Hindu in this class, there is no Sikh in this class, there is no Muslim in this class. This class consists of only my children." And look at the impact that had, that when he heard that she'd passed away, he found out where the funeral was, he came to the funeral. He in fact asked me at the door, would I mind? And I said, "No, you're welcome, come in." So Ramadan is a great time for reflecting upon our deeds, reflecting upon our morals, reflecting upon upon the message of the Holy Quran, not how someone else interpreted it, but read the translation in Urdu or in English by Hazrat Maulana Muhammad Ali. Read the commentary, follow up on the commentary, and you will see that Islam is a marvelous religion which is misunderstood mostly by Muslims themselves. And that is the sad thing. You can't blame the others when Muslims themselves don't understand what its teaching is. I end with that, and I just want to remind everyone that some of you log on that 8 p.m. Every day during Ramadan we have a 15-20 minute lecture, a radio broadcast So, you're all welcome to log on to that and give your opinions and so on. I don't know about today, but yesterday we had someone from Washington DC, someone from Orlando, someone from Ireland joining in. And they actually send messages because you can chat. So they send messages to say what they think of it. So, well, this is our first communal iftar, so welcome. And I hope you enjoyed the iftar. I spent all last night cooking. And at the end of Ramadan, I intend to write a recipe book about how to prepare nutritious meals to break the fast. It'll only be £15, so look out for that. Thank you very much.